I spent 40 bucks on this PC, and well, there's a couple things going against me in this one. Firstly, it doesn't work. It doesn't turn on at all. And secondly, it's a Dell pre-built. So on eBay, this computer was listed for parts or not working, and the description reveals, well, enough. Computer will not turn on. Please see pictures for details of damage. Computer does have cosmetic damage. See pictures. Computer does not come with a power cord or any other cords. Computer comes as is. I won't keep you waiting much longer before we dive into this thing. Stay with me. NordPass is an intuitive way to manage passwords without complication and with utmost security. Using the latest technology, it streamlines business account access for employees, including secure ways to share passwords, credentials, and other sensitive data. NordPass implements strong passwords with the password generator feature and identifies weak, reused, or old passwords within your company for peace of mind. You can also quickly revoke access to corporate accounts with the click of a button, ensuring sensitive data is retained long after employees are offloaded. It'll also autofill credentials at the start of every session for maximum efficiency and minimal hassle, including for things like credit cards and employee data, and will flag any breach of said data by proactively monitoring websites tied to your online accounts. So what are you waiting for? Secure your business effortlessly with a 3-month NordPass trial. Use code Greg Salazar via the link below or visit nordpass.com/Greg Salazar to get started today. Again, that's nordpass.com/Greg Salazar and offer code Greg Salazar. Should be pretty straightforward. You'll probably notice things are rotated backwards. This is the front of the case, this is the back. We're gonna take off the right side panel because this is an inverted chassis, my friends. And that means, well, we're gonna be working with some very odd constraints, namely this super bulky CPU cooler here. So yes, this motherboard is flipped upside down. Heck, even the Dell logo is backwards. But the real interesting thing here is where the PCIe slots are located. Typically, if a board's rotated 180 degrees, the slots are up top. But Dell has designed this board where the slots are still near the bottom, which means our card is gonna be fan side up and positioned somewhere down here. And that normally wouldn't be an issue, but again, we've got this bulky CPU cooler in the way. It's gonna prevent us, at least in the top slot, from running a larger graphics card. So for demonstration purposes here, the golden fingers are on the bottom of this card in this orientation, which means we actually need more space above the slot for the remainder of the shroud, and you can see we just can't get it in there. There's no way that this card, and this is a smaller GTX 1050, is gonna fit with this bulky cooler, which means we'll either end up using this guy here or a riser cable of some sort. Now there is quite a bit of dust, especially in this hard drive cage. I think we'll need to clean that. And as usual with a lot of these listings, the specifications were very vague. I knew there was a Core i5 in here just based off the sticker, but otherwise all we know about this CPU is that it's a 3.6 gigahertz apparently processor, and it comes with 16 gigs of non-ECC memory. We'll be the judge of that. Let's see here. Ah yes, a very dirty 2 gig stick, which means we've got 4 gigs in total. That is, that's disappointing. We got hosed, boys. Let's recap then. For 40 bucks, we get a broken system with an i5 from either the Sandy Bridge or Ivy Bridge lineup of CPUs, and it only comes with 4 gigs of memory when we thought it came with 16. At least I thought it came with 16. Heck, this description, actually, in hindsight, it looks like it was ripped from a generic Optiplex product page. And you can spec these in so many different ways, so it's likely the seller just picked whatever looked enticing and threw it onto the listing. We were a bit fooled there. This is looking like my worst $40 investment yet. But rest assured, I'm not really surprised by this. And this isn't me trying to cope or justify a bad purchase, like, oh, I saw this coming from a mile away, when in reality I'm hurting inside. I fully expected this, to be completely honest with you. And I, in normal circumstances, never would have purchased this, even for 40 bucks, knowing what little I knew about it. I tend to avoid vague listings or listings that seem too good to be true, and in general, I think you should as well, unless you want to have some fun, like we're about to here. First things first, we need to try powering this on. I don't think it's gonna give us any sign of life at all, based on the description, but look, even the description was wrong about other things in this rig, so maybe we get lucky? I would normally hook a screen up at this point, and normally I'd be on this side of the table, but things are inverted, and I don't think things are even gonna power on, so we're just gonna go straight in as is. Where's the power button? There it is. Yeah. Whoa. Okay, I don't think the microphone's gonna pick this up, but I definitely hear a high-pitched squealing sound coming from the power supply. Aux power. We have an amber LED on the board, but we don't have fans spinning. Yeah, I think there's something wrong with this power supply, which actually would be, I'm gonna go ahead and just unplug this because I don't wanna damage things further. I think that this is actually a best case scenario for a broken system. A power supply swap is gonna be pretty easy, and I actually chose to buy this broken unit because the power supply mounting points appear to be standard ATX ones. So I think this is gonna be a fairly easy swap, and I don't see off the top any proprietary connection apart from a slightly unorthodox 24 pin. This connector has 24 wires running to it. However, it is smaller than normal. This is a mini 24 pin. So all we need to do is buy a very cheap male 24 pin mini to female 24 pin standard. We'll just quickly disconnect some of these extra wires, and after 4 Phillips screws, it should pop out. Let's see, it might be on a, yep, it's on a little retention clip up top. Now that might prove difficult to work around with a standard unit. And you can see this is actually an 80+ gold rated unit. Total output is 225 watts, not bad for stock. And check this out, I was able to almost perfectly match the length of the original unit with this 700 GD from EVJ. Also 80+ gold rated, but a 700 watt total output, so much more headroom for additional graphics cards and things. The height is slightly different, but the mounting points are virtually the same. I know it looks a bit strange as is, we can clean things up later, but remember, we haven't even actually verified that the power supply is the problem yet, so I might have jumped the gun a bit. We've got our 24 pin to mini 24 pin adapter. We'll connect this, and then we should be ready to fire things up again. I've also taken the liberty of connecting both a small discrete card just so we have HDMI out, because for some reason we only get DisplayPort with these old pre-builts, and I don't want to buy an adapter from DisplayPort to mini HDMI because this isn't a standard HDMI connector here, in case you're wondering. I've had a few people ask. We're going to also try to boot into Windows. I've got a SSD hanging literally for dear life over there. We're just going all in. Power on. Here we go. Uh-oh. Now there is a little tamper button here. Sometimes if it's enabled, usually in the BIOS, I think, this will either prevent the system from turning on or prevent it from posting. I'm just gonna hold that down and then try one more time. We're basically tricking it into thinking that the side panel's on, but we still get the same amber LED for auxiliary power. And I know that this power supply works. We've used it in a recent PC build. I'm basically gutting this entire case now, and I want to see if this power button is functional. It might just be that the system isn't turning on because it's not registering a button being clicked. I've been searching for a good while for a 14-pin pinout for that front panel, and I, for some reason, cannot find it. I keep finding the 20-pin, but that's different. That's a different front panel. It doesn't have the power button on this one. I did find the service manual, and this, at the very least, has confirmed that a solid amber LED is not a bad thing. It's just saying that it's in the potential power on state. I'm just confused. I don't know. I mean, I've looked through this whole manual and it's not showing a pinout anywhere either. So we're kind of going into this one a bit blind, which I'm not a fan of. I think we're gonna have to start probing some pins with the power on, and that's gonna be mega cringe. I definitely don't recommend you do that, but we're playing with a $40 system here, so what the heck, something blows up, not the end of the world. Again, don't try this at home, so nothing there. Ooh, so that's the amber LED pins that we're shorting there. Okay, interesting. There's the diagnostic LED. I am legitimately dumbfounded by this. This darn amber LED just wants to stay on. For whatever reason, it's all we can get. It's the only sign of life from this rig. Maybe there's something obvious in the CPU area we can fix. Easy does it now. We've got a lot of small wires to deal with. Check out how bad this thermal paste is. You can tell it hasn't been changed in a very long time. I am actively scrubbing here, putting quite a bit of force into it, and we're just not getting rid of anything. This is pretty bad. Also, wow, I should have done my research when buying this Optiplex. This is a first-gen Core i5, not a Sandy or Ivy Bridge unit like I originally thought. This is, I mean, you don't want to use this for gaming, not even for like bare bones stuff. That said, the pads all look nice and clean, and the socket also looks really good, no bent or missing pins. Suppose we could check on this battery here. Maybe the voltage is too low? Holy guacamole, is the camera getting that? 2930 millivolts. That's not what we need. We need a whole 3 volts, so we're what, 1% of the way there? Is my math right? I stole this one from a brand new motherboard, and you can see 3 volts, almost dead on, so we're definitely coming up short with the original.
A few moments later.
But even with the new battery, still nothing. I'm not getting any reaction from the rig other than an amber LED. This is super frustrating because I feel like it's something so simple. You can tell I really don't want to take this motherboard out, but I'm not seeing any other obvious thing we could remove to isolate either the socket, CPU, or motherboard in general. I've tried different DIMMs. I've obviously reset the CMOS. We did it again when we removed the battery and swapped that over. I've disconnected everything non-vital, and I still cannot get any reaction from this rig. It's just really frustrating. After looking at things outside the case though, I will say changing the battery around did reveal one extra clue. With the original battery, we still get the same illuminated amber LED on the motherboard, but nothing on the front panel board. If it'll focus, there we go. You can see no reaction at all. However, when we swap this dead one out for an essentially brand new one, we can still see the board's amber LED illuminated, but now on the front panel board, we also get a blinking amber LED here. This is one of the diagnostic LEDs, and in the manual, unfortunately, a blinking third diagnostic LED tells us that, well, we've probably got an issue with our motherboard. And to reinforce this suspicion, I have swapped the 650 in here with a 760 that I had on hand. I'm actually surprised I have a chip this old, it's just laying in a drawer, but we still get the exact same symptoms with this CPU installed instead. By the way, you probably noticed we didn't have DRAM in those last few shots, and that's because I was trying to circumvent the original issue and trick the board into thinking something else was wrong. It does not really matter though. If we try powering on, we still get the same blinking amber LED, the third one to be specific. So by testing things this way, we have ruled out the CPU because I know my 760 works. We ruled out DRAM because we've outright removed it from the system and still see the exact same symptom. And we've ruled out the power supply because we replaced it with a known working one. I actually expect that this original Dell power supply here fully functions. I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. I was just misled a bit by the original symptom. The amber LED on the board is completely normal and just tells us that it's receiving basic power from the wall. But of course, the board physically checks out, and that's really where I've hit my dead end. I could start probing random places we might have a power delivery issue, but I don't have donor pieces from random boards that are around this era, and even if I did, honestly, it's not my strong suit. I don't have the fine soldering skills needed to repair something like this. And if we really want to talk about the viability of a board this old, I mean, the amount of time I would spend probing alone is probably worth more than the value of this board. The Enermax SlickMax Flow series of AIOs are beefed up for the latest and greatest processors thanks to 38mm thick radiators up to 420mm, built-in VRM fans over each block, and specially designed dual-chamber pumps for increased coolant flow. Also enjoy tasteful ARGB and a rotatable cover for a clean look in any build and in any orientation. Learn more about Enermax SlickMax Flow CPU coolers by clicking the link below. And so that's where we have to call it. We have tested everything under the sun in this pre-built with the exception of the motherboard. One of the reasons why I can't just swap another one in is because it's proprietary. Like we said earlier on, it's flipped upside down, it's inverted, the I/O is on the opposite side of the board. We can't just shove this into a regular mid-tower or something because the layout is all backwards. And I don't have severely old Dell motherboards laying around that I could swap in. So repair aside, it's not even like I could easily just replace the thing. But since we've tested everything else, including known and working CPUs, known and working DDR3, known and working power supplies, I mean, that's the core of your platform right there. It's really all you need to test. It has to be the motherboard. Unfortunately, it's not something we can physically see, but I suspect there is something probably wrong with power delivery. I don't see anything desoldered, anything super corroded. It's just probably a chip somewhere that is fried, that's creating some sort of dead short, and that unfortunately is just not worth the fix. So we're just left with a bunch of random working parts. Maybe we can repurpose some of these in future fix or flop videos. By the way, I didn't have to pay shipping for this item. It was just $40 out the door. One of the reasons why I agreed to buy it despite the description stating that it did not power on. It's not the end of the world, but we didn't manage to fix it. One of the reasons why is because the board is proprietary. Just good old OEM stuff. If If you guys enjoyed this one, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you have not already. Consider joining our public Discord server. It's totally free to do if you want to contribute there or just hang out with some cool folks. And consider supporting us on Patreon if that fits the bill. If you want to support us there financially, there are a few options to choose from. You'll see the little ending credits as well with all of our current Patreon supporters. So just a small token of my appreciation for what they currently are doing. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Greg, and thanks for learning with me.